Hello and welcome back to another one of my FPL videos. I of course am the FPL Train, and in this video we're going to be looking at some transfer plans ahead of game week 34, which of course is a massive game week because it's a double game week. One that we've been waiting for, that one and 37 are of course the big double game weeks. So this is the first one we've got. Quite a few people will probably be free hitting for this game week, some might be wildcarding. So it is a big week. A lot of people are going to be looking at all kinds of players. Obviously, majority of focus on the double game week players, but I've only got 2 double game week players that I'm recommending, and then one of them, in fact, does not have a double game week, but their fixtures past double game week 34 are actually really good from now to the end of the season. So I think they're definitely one to look at as well. And of course, if you don't have a free hit and you've not got the wild card and you're happy with your team, majority of it, you got a lot of double game week players and you're looking ahead, then that player I think will be a decent shout out as well. But anyways, before we look at all of those, let's look at my previous game week. And of course, I had another disaster. I mean, honestly, it wasn't great. I mean, once again, it was 2 wrong ones and a right one. So first up on here, obviously I went for, well, I recommended straight away, bring in Van Dijk for Kyle Walker. It made sense at the time. Obviously, Kyle Walker's out injured at the moment, so he's not going to be playing. He's not getting you any points. Where Virgil van Dijk, going through the Premier League, got to win pretty much every game. Had Crystal Palace at the weekend, and you felt like that being played at Anfield, yeah, Liverpool, they should have that one in the bag. Should be a clean sheet, no problem. That wasn't the case. They lost 1-0 to Palace. Couldn't believe it. And of course, that meant Virgil only got a 2-pointer. So that was an absolute stinker. Whereas the second one, not so much. So I recommended going for obviously taking James Maddison out, who I obviously own at the time of recording, or at the time of doing this video, should I say. And you know, he absolutely had once again another stinker for Spurs. Honestly, he's just turned out to be absolutely embarrassing towards the end of the season. Bear in mind, at the start of the season, we were all saying he's going to be like the best transfer of the season. He's been absolutely shocking since, and he only got 1 point yet again. I mean, that's now what, 4 or 5 blanks now? It's been shocking for James Maddison. But the replacement, I said, Bruno Fernandes, absolutely smashed it. So for the last 2 weeks, if you add my 2 recommendations in Havertz and Bruno, you would have had 29 points out of 2 players. That is pretty incredible, to be fair. So yeah, Bruno, storming performance. Obviously, the second goal he had, because he scored 2 goals, one of them being a penalty, bit controversial, you have to say, but nevertheless, 2 goals, 3 bonus points, 15 points overall. Absolutely smashed it. Even though United didn't win, they still drew 2-2. But yeah, absolute storming performance from Bruno Fernandes there for a 15-pointer. And then finally, and last one was another stinker. So obviously, Douglas Luiz out suspended, so he obviously wasn't going to get you any points. Luis Diaz, like I mentioned with Virgil van Dijk, they have to win these games. It looked like a nice fixture to have. And of course, they absolutely had a stink Liverpool. He only played 65 minutes as well, so you're lucky to get those 2 points, really. But yeah, that one was another disappointing performance there. Obviously, 2 Liverpool players, Liverpool let themselves down at the weekend. So yeah, everybody else, it was a norm. It was, no, I was going to say it's norm. It was the correct decision, I would say, to go for Virgil and Luis Diaz. Blimey, it's so annoying because they both sound similar names, aren't they? But it was the correct decision to bring them in. Just because Liverpool going for it. It was a nice fixture. It was at Anfield. It made sense. So it was just unfortunate both of them blank. But hey, Bruno did smash it. So let's get into it then. And the first player I've got on here is getting rid of Pedro Porro for Fabian Schär. Now, Pedro Porro, he's currently flagged up. He's got a knock. But regardless, I think he will play in game week 35. But of course, Spurs are blanking in the big double game week 34, so it makes sense to get rid of him for this game week. Obviously, people will probably be reluctant to want to get rid of him because he's an unbelievable wing back for you. Obviously, he got that 11 points in game week 32, so people have that in their mind, not want to get rid of him there. But even after game week 34, yes, he's got doubles in 35 and 37, but he's got Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City. That ain't great, really, is it? Obviously, he's got Burnley and Sheffield United, but yeah, I wouldn't have Pedro Porro for the double game week 35, possibly, just because it is tough. I'd probably bring in for double game week 37, where he's got obviously Burnley. Yes, he's got Man City, he's got Burnley, and obviously the final fixture, Sheffield United, which is tasty. So yeah, I definitely would recommend getting rid of Pedro Porro and Fabian Schär. This guy's in hot form right now. Last 2 game weeks, he's got a total of 20 points, which is very impressive. And then after that, obviously, he's got a nice set of fixtures from now until the end of the season. So yes, he is not going to be double game week in game week 34. But Crystal Palace is not the worst fixture in the world. They don't exactly score goals left, right and centre. So there is a good chance that Newcastle could get a clean sheet there. And then, of course, game week 35 and 36, it is Sheffield United and Burnley, the 2 worst teams in the league. So that's an added bonus. Brighton aren't themselves right now. They've got so many injuries. United love to concede goals, and then last game of the season they've got Brentford. So if they're safe, Newcastle's still going for European spaces, then this could be a great run to the end of the season for him. And yeah, last 2 game weeks have been pretty great for Newcastle. 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games, and we've got a nice run of fixtures from now to the end of the season. Obviously, Schär, he loves to score goals for Newcastle as well. He's one of the best scoring defenders in the league. He's got 4 goals and 3 assists this season at 7 attacking returns, which is very good for a centre-half. So definitely would recommend bringing Schär in. With the midfield change in here, then it just makes sense recommending Eze for game week 34. Obviously, Jarrod Bowen's out injured right now, so that's an obvious decision. If you've got him, get rid of him. There's no point keeping him. So that 14% of you that still own Bowen, get rid of him because he's not going to be playing anytime soon. Eze, though, he's fit. He's back for Crystal Palace, and he's just an amazing player. Honestly, he's good enough to play for any of the top 6 teams. Honestly, what a player he is. Obviously, he's coming back off that goal against Liverpool where they beat him, of course. So yeah, it makes sense to bring in Eze because look, his double game week 34 is really nice. Both of them are at home with West Ham and Newcastle. That is a bonus. Then they go away to Fulham, which is not too bad. United love to concede goals and they're at home there. And then they've got Wolves and Villa. So the rest of the season looks pretty decent for Crystal Palace now. So definitely want to bring in Eze. He's only as well 6 million. So he's an absolute bargain of a player to get. So I know a lot of people for their 5th midfielder is usually a cheap one. 6 million for Eze is an absolute bargain, especially as well because a lot of people own Cole Palmer as well, who's literally around about the same price. So to have 2 6 million class players is an absolute steal, isn't it? So yeah, great double game week for Eze. It just makes sense to bring him in, and only 5% of people own him right now, so he's still classed as quite a good differential. With the final transfer then I've got on here is getting rid of Ivan Toney for Cunha. I own Toney myself, and honestly, what a nightmare of a decision he's been for me personally. If anybody else has got him, I feel your pain because it felt like a no-brainer. His fixtures look good. His fixtures are amazing to the end of the season, but honestly, disaster. He's been an absolute disaster, particularly last game week. Sheffield United, it felt like a no-brainer again, having him in your team. Didn't even play. That's what kills it. He didn't even play. And game week 30, what was it? 32 again. 31, sorry. He only had a few minutes. He was on the bench. It's just what a whitewash of a player he's been so far. Yeah, definitely recommend getting rid of him. And it's been a hard one to own him, but yeah, definitely get rid of him. Replacement Cunha, I feel like this one's a no-brainer. Somebody I looked at bringing in about 10 game weeks ago. Unfortunately, though, he did get injured, but he's back now. He came back in game week 31, got some minutes against Burnley, got minutes against West Ham, 32. Finally started in game week 33, and what happens? He gets 2 goals. Unbelievable he is. Unbelievable player. 11 goals, 6 assists and 25 appearances. Absolute sensational. He's got the double game week in game week 34. Yes, one of them is Arsenal, right? Not exactly easy going against Arsenal, but it is at home. He could score in that game, but Arsenal do have a good defence, to be fair. But Bournemouth is a nice fixture. I mean, he's got Luton in game week 35. Man City ain't exactly great, but again, he could easily score in that game because Man City, they've got this thing at the minute, they can't keep a clean sheet, so he could score there. And then Crystal Palace at home, nice and 37. And he's 5.6 million, right? That is even better, particularly as well because You know, we all want, usually anyway, to have the likes of Haaland, Salah, Saka, Son. So you need to go cheap somewhere. And in the past, recently anyway, we've had Haaland, Watkins, either Solanke or Darwin. So to have somebody that's like 2 million cheaper, it just makes life a lot easier. And Cunha, unbelievable player. Definitely somebody I'm looking at bringing in for Game Week 34. So yeah, those are the transfers that I'm recommending for the big double Game Week 34. Let me know what you think of those transfers. I think they're great transfers to bring in for this game week. Let me know who you're thinking about bringing in for the double Game Week 34. Please as well, don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and I'll see you all on the next one.